Chicago lives up to its nickname, the Windy City. Winds of up to 90 miles an hour bring the less hardy to a standstill or use them like a Scotsman's curling stones.
Alley fight between Fitz and Combs. You both get to pick 3 all-time Sox and Cubs as part of your alley fight. My number 1 draft pick is Michael Barrett.
Michael Barrett, you're out of your mind.
Michael Barrett, you see that right hook? Ask AJ Przinsky if he wants to get hit with that right hook again.
You can ask AJ Przinsky that.
I will.
That's such a podcast question.
Shut up. Go to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. Uribe has it. He throws. Out! A White Sox winner and a World Championship.
And welcome to Windy City Sports Talk. I am Brandon Combs alongside my co-host Ryan Fitzgibbons. Woo! We have a lot to get to tonight, Ryan. We've got the White Sox stuff to talk about. Is Pedro Grifol a one and done type guy? We've got some Cubs to talk about. They're on a move right now. They're almost back to 500. Then we've got some Blackhawks and some Bears to talk about. Pedro Grifol. Justin Fields in the top 100 of Pete Prisco's top 100, ahead of some notable quarterbacks. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, top 100. He's number 78 too at that. So we'll definitely get to that. But before we do, if you miss any part of today's live broadcast, you can now catch us on all podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Spotify, and Pandora. We're also available on iHeartRadio. As always, make sure to click the like button, share, and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any feedback for us or have something you want us to talk about or any questions you want us to answer, you can email us now at Combs and Fitz, all one word, Combs and Fitz @gmail.com.
Wait fucking minute is.
So what's going on, Fitzy, man? How you been this last week?
We're everywhere now.
We are.
Interesting week in sports. Even when we cut off last week, it got interesting. And it got more interesting.
It always gets more interesting when you leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime I stop talking, things get interesting. Yeah, interesting week in sports all around. I mean, the closer we get to the Bears, the more interesting they get. The Sox stay interesting somehow, even though they're terrible. And the Cubs, we're making another move, still around where I thought they'd be. But I didn't think their division would be this bad. So, I mean, with St. Louis really not being good, it's sort of weird when the team you think that's going to lead the division just sucks.
Yeah.
And all the times they face the team in the division, although they face teams in the division less this year, but all the times they face those teams, they lose. Other teams start to take on the mantle, like Pittsburgh, even though they're losing again to the Cubs, I think tonight, or Milwaukee. Yeah. So
look, and what's funny is people normally, when you say, hey, look, the Cubs, they swept Pittsburgh, then they took 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. Normally, on a normal year, we would say something like, yeah, it's the Pirates and it's the Orioles. However, the Pirates were the number 1 team in the division at the time that the Cubs swept them. They were in first place, and the Orioles had the second best record in the American League when they took 2 out of 3. So it's not like a typical. Well, maybe the Pirates are typical because they're still under 500, but the Orioles are a really good ball club, and they've been playing really good ball. Jeremiah Murray says your first place Cincinnati Reds. They are hot right now. They just released Will Myers today too because of the kid that they called up. But the Cubs are one of those teams. They're just playing good ball. They're healthy again. You get Hendo back. Hendo damn near pitches a no-hitter, his second start back off the IL. He's a welcome addition to that starting rotation. Tyon is finally starting to pitch well again. Stroman's doing Stroman things. Justin Steele's healthy again. And we get Cody Bellinger back off the IL. And all of a sudden, this lineup starts taking off.
That last one, let's not get so excited about Cody Bellinger.
Well, he puts a different look into that lineup, though. I mean, he really does. When you add Cody Bellinger to that lineup, it sent Matt Mervis back down to AAA Iowa, and it put a new look. It put a new. He's still a hitter that pitchers have to be wary of. And
I'd rather watch Cody Bellinger at bats than giving Matt Mervis some time.
Yes, you know why? Because I believe Matt Mervis right now is the same thing they did with Anthony Rizzo, and the same thing that they did with Ian Happ a couple years ago is the same thing they just did with Matt Mervis
and Schwarber.
All of those guys came up. The difference between those guys and Matt Mervis, though, is that those guys had some success before they started to fail, right? Matt Mervis didn't have any success. And that was the difference that I have with Matt Mervis. I don't know how he's going to handle it. We'll see how he handles it. I hope he handles it well. But he just hasn't been good since he came up to the major league level. So I'm okay with him going down. And I'm okay with Cody Bellinger right now playing first base. You know, the question is, you know, and what do the Cubs do with guys like this? What do you do with Marcus Stroman at the deadline? What do you do with Cody Bellinger at the deadline? Because 2 weeks ago, it was for sure in my head, you're going to move these guys, right? Cody Bellinger on a 1-year deal, having an okay year, having a bounce back year, and Marcus Stroman in a contract year. I'm not a big fan of not still at this point. If you're not going to extend him, I'm not a fan of not dealing him, because if you're going to let Marcus Stroman walk for nothing so that you can win a division at maybe 500 or just above 500 and still flame out in the playoffs, I'd rather get something in return for Stroman for the future.
You got time too. You got another month and some change here. Like, you don't need to do anything now, and no one's really, there's only a few teams that are bad enough to start trading now. I mean, the Sox aren't even bad enough to start trading. You get some teams desperate closer to the end of July, 5 weeks from now, you get them real desperate. You know, maybe the Cubs are still 5-6 games under 500, and you deal Stroman then to somebody who's really desperate, or even Bellinger.
So Jeremiah Murray chimes into the chat and says, wait, it's a good thing they have left-handed power hitters? Someone alert the Sox immediately.
Wait, Kevin Sheets isn't the guy? I didn't know that after 500 at-bats.
Yeah, so I definitely want to get into the Sox here for sure. We're going to get into it in just a minute. With the Cubs, are you okay? If you were a Cubs fan, would you be okay? Or if the Sox were in this situation that the Cubs are in right now, where they're playing good ball, they're probably going to be in contention for a bad division, but probably not going to compete for a World Series. Would you be okay with them standing pat, maybe even adding a piece at this point? Because you've got to give something up to add a piece. You got to remember that too.
Yeah, it depends who you're giving up. I mean, it just depends who you're giving up. I think they're going to stay pat. I mean, I don't know if you're going to get a lot. I mean, maybe for Stroman, but for any of these other guys, I don't think you're going to get much. I mean, maybe somebody gets desperate and one of their center fielders goes down and they think Bellinger is the difference, but that's a hard. Bellinger's going to have a historic month for me to think that you're going to get something for that that's worth it. Can't hurt though. And if you think Stroman's like a part of your future, you know, why get rid of him? Or you trade him, pump him, and then get him back, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
But, and that's the thing too, is if you give up something, you're giving up PCA. And what do the Cubs need more than they need anything else? They need a third baseman. Mm-hmm. And a third baseman that's on the block right now, and I don't know if a deal would ever get done, but we talked about this the other day. I don't know if a deal will get done because of the two teams involved, but you're talking about over there in St. Louis, and his name's going to escape me. Nolan Arenado is available, and they're shopping him. They're shopping everybody in St. Louis right now. If you're the Cubs, do you want to give up a piece like Pete Crow Armstrong or Brendan Davis?
They could trade him though to anybody. I mean, right? I mean, they could trade him to anybody they want at this point.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the St. Louis can. I mean, there's a lot of other teams that'll be salivating for him. They're not going to give him to the Cubs. I just don't see that happening. But I mean,
Well, if you go down the list, what team that's in contention needs a third baseman? You know what I mean? You start going down the list. I mean, the Pirates have Brian Hayes. The Reds are set over at third base with their, I can't remember his name. They've got a young third baseman that they're running with. You know, you start looking over into other leagues. Like you start looking into the American League. You look at the Rays. They've got a third baseman. They don't really add pieces like that. The Red Sox, they have their third baseman in Rafael Devers. The Yankees, they have their third baseman. You start looking at all these other teams, and really the team that makes the most sense for Nolan Arenado really is the Cubs if they're going to add. I just don't know two things. One, will the Cardinals trade to the Cubs a piece like that? And two, would the Cubs really want to have to see one of their young stud outfielders in St. Louis for the next 5 to 10 years?
I just don't see it happening on either way. I think you just try to improve at the edges, see where this thing is going to go, and see what happens. I mean, they really don't have what is his name? Is it Eli De La Cruz, who's on the Reds?
Eli De La Cruz.
They don't have a guy like that, and he's not in the minors anymore anyway, and it's no way the Reds are going to touch him. The whole league's looking at that guy play right now. So
yeah,
he's like a marketing gem for them. They need it, but
they just got Votto back last night.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're doing pretty well in division, definitely overachieving a little bit here, but not many teams are doing that in the NL Central. But I think you just nibble at the edges at this point. You don't want to give away any pieces either way. I mean, if there's still a couple of games out of first come the end of July, why get rid of Bellinger? I mean, unless you take the calls, obviously, but I don't think you're trying to ship anybody out at this point. Give the guys you want to get some good, experience, especially at the end of the line here, at the end of the season here. They get good experience, maybe being in a race for a few months, maybe you don't make it. That's even better experience. Like, why didn't you make it? What did you do wrong? What can we do better next year? The guys have that taste of winning in their mouths a little bit. Yeah.
And Jeremiah Murray says, you don't give up any major prospects right now unless you're getting a young guy you can lock down. Don't sacrifice the future. Well, here's why I went to outfield prospects, Jeremiah, is because the Cubs are kind of rich in the outfield right now. If they can afford to give away a piece, it would be an outfield piece, because you do have Brennan Davis, you do have Pete Crow Armstrong, you have the Alcantara kid out there in Double-A right now. You've got all of these pieces. You don't, the other Alcantara, the one that didn't kill somebody. And then in the up and coming, I mean, we got the kid that was here in Mount Carmel coming up as a shortstop. I can't think of his name right now, right off the top of my head, but they got the kid that they picked up from Mount Carmel in Chicago a couple years ago in the draft, and he's starting to kill it over in Single-A and Double-A right now too. So I think that if they were to give up a piece, it would be one of those outfield pieces you could give up and be okay.
Yeah, but none of those guys are really killing it. I mean,
PCA's turned it on over the last couple of weeks. He's had a nice little stretch. If I would rather not move, if I'm going to move a guy, I'm going to move Brennan Davis, who's coming off of back surgery. If I'm going to give up a piece, I'm going to try to give up that piece, and maybe a couple of other, prospects that I'm okay on, but not high on. I don't think they're going to get Arenado for that.
Yeah, for like a reliever, or maybe a starter who can pitch through the later months. Yeah, okay.
So somebody that can come in and take over for Michael Fulmer. We know how I feel about Michael Fulmer. Speaking of how I feel, let's talk about the team that is near and dear to your heart. And that team is the Chicago White Sox.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about the Rays.
You did say the other day you are really close to becoming a Tampa Bay Rays fan and jumping ship and jumping off of this White Sox bandwagon.
The best team in the league.
We saw something last week and we didn't get a chance to talk about it. I didn't know about it until after we got off the podcast doing the live stream. I didn't realize what the A's fans were doing in Oakland. I got off. I started watching the Cubs game, and the Cubs broadcast was talking about what they were doing. So I turned it over, and you've got 30,000 fans. 30,000 fans in Oakland, which they haven't seen that in probably 3 or 4 years for one game. 30,000 fans with shirts that say sell, and they're all chanting sell the team in between innings the entire time. Is that what White Sox fans need to do?
For those of you just listening, this is the sell the team Jerry sign. The only problem with that, with the White Sox, and I could keep the sign up as I talk, I suppose. The only problem with that is that you could say he's trying to get to, to be in second place. Like we talked about, there was that, rumor that he told one of the other, told an old GM to, just get into second place. You'll give the carrot out there for the fans. You don't have to overpay for players, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's actually trying to win. I mean, he's 87 years old at this point. We can have a sort of reverse boycott like the A's had, but we're not going to be, when we're doing that, we're not going to be, it's not because he didn't buy any players. They did actually try to win, or at least somewhat try to win. You could say whether they tried hard enough or not, or they could have done other things. We've obviously had those conversations before, but they're trying to win. What the A's owner is doing is completely different. I mean, he's not trying to win, right? And he's trying to go to Vegas.
I feel for you and for White Sox fans, because it's hard for me to watch, and I'm not a diehard Sox fan. I do like the Sox, and I will watch the Sox. It's hard to watch right now. And here's where I disagree with you. I don't think Jerry cares about winning. I don't think he wants to win. I don't think he's trying to win. And the White Sox in the fan base right now is exactly where the Blackhawks fan base was in the late 90s, early 2000s. Waiting for Bill Wirtz to either sell the team or die, because he just kept hiring guys that he was friends with. He wouldn't get rid of guys, bring guys in that could really turn around the team. He wouldn't do the things that you needed guys to do to win. And Jerry isn't doing that. Jerry brings in yes men. Jerry he hasn't given Rick Hahn, he hasn't given these guys the ability to just go do what they need to do to win. When they had a chance to go get AJ Hinch, he said, nope, go get my guy, Tony La Russa, because I want to right a wrong from 40 years ago, and I should have never fired him, and I want to win a title with him. Bad decision. Then you finally say, all right, you know what? We do need to get rid of Tony La Russa. They talk him into it. And everybody in the world knows the best person for this job was Ozzie Guillen. And you go and get a guy in Pedro Grifol, who, nothing against Pedro Grifol for taking the job. Nobody else was going to offer him a job. His own team changed managers twice and didn't offer him the job.
Yeah.
But here's Jerry. You know what? I like this guy. Let's hire him. And you know why? Because Pedro Grifol is a yes man. Pedro Grifol is not a guy who is going to want a say in anything. I will do what you need to do. Just sign my check, Jerry. That's what Pedro Grifol is. And he's showing it in his interviews lately, too. Pedro Grifol is not a major league manager. He is not cut out to make big decisions. He is not cut out to run a team, especially a winning team right now at this point in his life. Pedro Grifol, Jerry Reinsdorf, and Rick Hahn, and everybody who put this together, these guys are not going to win. And what are you going to do? You're going to rebuild again? You're going to rebuild again, Jerry? And who's going to run it? Because I don't trust you to hire anybody that can run it.
Yeah, I don't think he can rebuild this team. I mean, the only thing I'll say different from that is this was Rick Hahn's hire. I mean, I really believe that. I really believe this was Rick Hahn's hire and not Jerry's hire. 1, 2, they're spending over $200 million on this team. It's not that. I think it's ego is what's losing it for them. That's why they brought in La Russa. Oh, anybody can manage this team. That's how good we are. That's how well we scouted. That's how good our international scouts were, which were pretty decent. They got some decent talent internationally, but they have sort of tried, or at least gave the appearance of trying. It's not like in Oakland. I mean, yes, should they sell the team? Yes, he's obviously not on the cutting edge. Never really was. But I've always said it in the pitching side. They've always been, I wouldn't say revolutionary, but they've always been a team I trusted. I don't even know if I trust them there anymore. I mean, I think this is a team that right now is definitely underachieving, but I don't think it was because like he had this all dialed up and yes, it didn't matter to him. I think it somewhat matters to him. Like he does have some kind of ego, but I think it's the ego that's taking it too far. And yes, maybe there is not caring somewhere in that frame. Maybe there is I don't give a shit anymore. I think I am right about this and I'm going to do what I want. Maybe there's some of that, like you were saying, but I don't know if it's the same as in Oakland. I think he's got too much pride to do that, what he's doing in Oakland. And I don't think he necessarily would want to leave, the South Side. That ship sailed. So, I mean, but I think he should sell the team, and I think somebody should get in his ear. I mean, at 87 years old, it's enough.
If this is Rick Hahn's hire, Rick Hahn needs to be fired as well. Rick Hahn needs to be let go because you brought in a guy who, again, his own team would not give him the position. A team that he had been with for years would not give him a team that he won a World Series with would not give him the position. And you gave him the position over a guy who everybody in the world knows is more qualified. And Jeremiah and Doubting Thomas both say Tony La Russa, left because he was sick. If you guys believe that, then you guys just maybe you didn't look deep enough into the story. Okay, because he got sick at a time where they were losing and they needed to move on and they weren't going to publicly let him go. So they found a loophole.
Yeah.
Tony La Russa had health issues. He should have never been hired for health reasons. But he did not leave for health reasons. Tony La Russa and Pedro Grifol is doing the same thing Tony La Russa did. Why are you betting Jake Berger 8th? I don't know. If you don't like it, go talk to Jerry. Well, okay. Why are you walking a guy on 1 and 2? Well, that's the right thing to do. What are you talking about? It doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't matter where I put him in the lineup. He's still going to get his 4 at bats. No, he only got 3 at bats. And it's statistically, if you're batting 8th in the lineup, you're going to have a hell of a lot less at bats throughout the course of a season. That's why the best hitters hit in the top half of the lineup, because in the top half of the lineup through a full season, you're going to have 30 to 35 more at bats than everybody else.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Why do you have one of your best hitters not there? At least your best power hitter, and you could take every home run you can get at this point. I do agree with that. And I mean, it's one lineup. I am not going to jump on this guy as of yet. Has he made a lot of really bad mistakes? Hell yeah, he has. Really bad mistakes. Keeping Ronaldo in to be your closer was a really bad mistake, especially in the beginning of the year when the games actually counted, which now it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it happening with this team. It doesn't matter if there were 3 games in first place. I just don't see it happening. But anyway, I mean, it's a different, I mean, I think, has he made mistakes? Yeah. I would have liked to see him, get an AJ Hinch, somebody who's done it before, somebody who knows what to do in situations like that. I mean, Pedro's been doing it from the bench for a while, so maybe, he probably isn't the guy. All I'm saying is we're at 70-something games in. We're already saying he's a terrible manager. I'm not ready to go there yet. I mean, baseball is a difficult sport. Like I said last week, it's even hard to watch. But
I had this team at 90-plus wins.
I know.
At the beginning of the season, you had them at 90-plus wins at the beginning of the season. They are 11 games under 500 right now, And if they want to finish the season at 500, the rest of the way, they're going to have to go 50-38. 12 games above 500 the rest of the way just to get back to 500 at the end of the season.
50-38 just to get back to 500. Yeah, and that probably wins you the division.
It probably does, but they're not going to do that.
No.
This team is not going to do that. And that is why I believe Pedro Grifol is going to be one and done. You can't take this team that is the most talented team on paper in the division. You can't take this team, go under 500 or even 500 and still keep your job. And you can't start rebuilding this thing with the same front office. And I don't have any trust in Jerry to hire the right front office to rebuild. Yeah, the White Sox are stuck in a black hole right now. They really are.
I mean, it would be worse if it was like they had no pieces. I mean, they at least have some pieces to trade away. I think there's a decent chance he'll actually sell the team now. So I wouldn't say it's not pitch black. It's like an off black.
You're in a black hole and you can see the star. You can see the stars up above.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I mean, there is outs here. If you get the right people together, if you have the right ownership come in that doesn't ship them to Las Vegas, before Oakland can, I guess. I mean, there is some outs here, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you are the number one team in the league of losing fans. When you're winning those awards, that's a problem. Yeah, a report just came out recently where they've lost more fans this year than any other team. So that's less fans going to the game than any other team. They're about 13-14 last year. They're in the 20s now. I think they were at 25-26 last I checked. No one's going to games, and really, why would they? And like you've said before, I mean, this is it's a blue collar crowd. I mean, and they're not going to go to games if they don't. They're not winning games, and it showed right now. I mean, they're probably one of the. Well, I guess I'm part of the fan base. We're probably the number one team in the league, and leaving a team when they're not playing well.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with guys like Tim Anderson, who I've said before is right now easily in the top 3 players on my list right now in all of baseball to watch play when he's right, because he is that exciting. He's not that guy right now, and he doesn't have anybody. This organization, he came out and told everybody last week, hey, look, I've been dealing with personal issues. It's nobody spoke up about it. Nobody came to not Rick Hahn, not Kenny. Nobody came up and said, hey, look, we understand he's going through some things. We've got your back. We will do whatever we've got to do to make sure he gets right. We will do nothing. It was radio silence, just like it was radio silence last year when they announced he was going to the freaking All-Star game, and one guy in the locker room clapped. There is something wrong with this team. There is something wrong with the guys in the locker room. There is something wrong with the front office. There's clearly something wrong with the owner. This team needs a complete overhaul. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's lack of leadership, but I do know one thing is for certain. If this job was given to Ozzie Guillen and not Pedro Grifol, it'd be a completely different team this year.
I don't know. I don't think...
You're out of your mind. There's no way Ozzie Guillen would let these guys act like this.
Make sure his teams don't get hurt. I mean, yes, you could talk about acting. Yeah, maybe he could have poured some water on that, but are his players not going to get hurt? I mean, these guys get hurt calling for the safe sign, running to first base. I mean, are these guys not going to get hurt? I mean,
they don't want to play. You could see it in Tim Anderson's antics when he's on the field. He doesn't want to play.
Then he's not going to want to play on any team. Then he's not going to want to play on any team.
I disagree.
Then
he wanted to play when he was in Iowa when he hit that walk-off home run, the bat flips, the things that they were doing when they were playing against teams like Minnesota and Detroit, and how he wanted to play baseball. Then something happened during the Tony La Russa era last year, Tim Anderson lost it. Lost his love for the game, whether it was the stuff going on with his wife and his mistress and everything else, or whether it was the fact that you had the Walking Dead managing your team and you knew it was going nowhere. And then they bring in another guy that you don't believe in, that you don't respect, and you know it's going nowhere. He wants to go somewhere else. If you put Tim Anderson, you send him over to, trying to think of a team right now that is in contention. I would the Tampa Bay Rays or
just gonna blow up.
The Cincinnati Reds.
And
Tim
why
Anderson
would they want him? Once the chips are down, this guy's gonna fold like lawn furniture. Like, why the hell would they want Tim Anderson right now? Why?
I think he would be re-energized and he would be the old Tim.
Tim Anderson is soft as a Cabbage Patch.
Doubting Thomas also said, "Burn it down, Combs."
That's really good. That's Cabbage Patch Kids. That's really going to our demographic for sure.
Doubting Thomas also said Tony La Russa would have turned this team around.
Yeah,
and then Jeremiah Murray responded with, Doubting Thomas, he wouldn't turn the team around because he was drunk driving the bus in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Murray also said he ejaculated in 7 women. That's the problem right there. A woman could crawl in your brain. Have you ever seen the movie Alien?
I was trying to avoid that comment.
The guy goes, he gets the alien on his face, and then later on he's eating, they're laughing, and then the alien busts out of his chest.
Yes.
Like, that's basically what a woman can do to you. That's what they did. That's what his woman did to his brain to get him back for fucking other chicks.
I was gonna say, careful. You're married. Be careful on this subject.
What are these women? I mean, why do they all have to go on Twitter or Instagram to say this stuff? I mean, are people going to be like? I mean, if let's just say you're a woman, and this isn't a first stretch for you. Let's say you're a woman. I mean, how is this putting you in the right light by saying, oh yeah, I fucked him. Like, there's a picture of him and his wife, and then you put on Instagram, I fucked him, and then you're dancing afterwards. It's like, what?
Yeah. No,
how do you spike that play?
I'm completely with you. I think it's.
But I mean, that could be it. And if so, other guys compartmentalize. Other guys can get through it. I mean,
see, how come guys didn't learn from guys back in the day, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or who was the one who slept with? Was it Will Chamberlain? Slept with all those women. Just stay single and do whatever you want to do. Nobody cares that Will Chamberlain was with 300 women because Will Chamberlain was not married at the time. However, these guys nowadays, they're married, they're in relationships, they're having babies, they're doing what they got to do, and then they're trying to get away with it on the side in the day of social media.
Pump the brakes.
Like, stop.
I met my wife later in life, and I'm so happy for that. But I always think back, like, if I would have just not messed with women for a while, I'd be a lot further on in success in my life.
You're married. Stop it.
What I'm saying. I'm glad I met her now, but like, if I would have not met with well, I was never with. She's the first one. I was not Nicole. I'm sorry, baby. Sorry. You better not clip this shit up and put it on Facebook. No.
We're already live on Facebook. I don't have to clip anything.
She's not going to listen 33 minutes in. Come on.
Unless somebody who is watching the show, Doubting Thomas, tells her to listen to the show 33 minutes in.
Parenthetical. Stop talking in parentheses.
Oh, God. All right. So I don't know what we're going to do with the White Sox. I don't know if selling the team is going to be the answer. I don't know if what it's going to be. I don't even know how to do it, because I really don't. You don't have anything in the minor league system. You don't have anything in right now in the major league system that you really can move that you're going to get any pieces for. I mean, who are you getting pieces for at the trade deadline? Giolito, probably.
Yeah, you'll probably get something for him.
You could probably get something for Robert, but that's probably one of the pieces you want to build around.
Yeah, I mean, I would say nobody's untouchable, but Cease and Robert probably are untouchable. I mean,
how about the kid that came into the game the other night and had a good game, and then when they asked if he was going to be in the lineup the next day, Pedro Grafal's answer was, "We'll have to ask Tim." You got to ask Tim Anderson whether or not the kid gets to play tomorrow.
Why couldn't he just have been a Derek Jeter? Where, give him a gift basket afterwards. Don't give him a ring.
Are you excited about Derek Jeter joining the announce team? Everybody's going crazy. Derek Jeter will be a part of the announce team this weekend for the Cubs series in London.
I've seen him talk on interview. I don't know how impressed I was.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. And for me, like A-Rod to me was the worst. Listening to A-Rod on the mic was absolutely atrocious.
Here's the problem: you want a mediocre player who overachieved. Like that's why Steve Stone's so good.
Yeah,
totally overachieved. Won a Cy Young. Could you believe that?
Yep.
He barely had a fastball that year after he got hurt.
Or what if instead of having an athlete who's just there because of his name, how about somebody who actually enjoys being at the game?
Yeah,
I would much rather listen to a guy like Boog Sciambi, who's never played a game in his life, but you can genuinely tell how much he loves the game of baseball every time he announces. Watching that broadcast this weekend on Father's Day on Peacock, where it was Jim Palmer alongside Joe Girardi.
Yeah,
it was the deadest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oof.
It was so bad.
It was tough.
And I don't know. I would rather, instead of listening to former athletes, I do like Steve Stone. Don't get me wrong. Not all former athletes are bad commentators. I'd rather listen to guys who actually enjoy the game. JD on the Cubs broadcast, and I hate to say this about JD. I like him as a person. He's too much for me on the mic. The dad joke, the bad dad jokes, the puns, all the stuff that he tries to do they're just not funny. I mean, how many times does Boog have to call him out on it before he just stops? Like Boog calls him out on it all the time. He calls out Joe Girardi on it too. He asked Joe Girardi, why does he always say things that old white people say? Live on the broadcast.
That's not bad.
So, like, that's the thing that I like. I like guys who genuinely like the game. But, hey, are you ready to give these people what they want?
Oh, God.
Doubting Thomas is only here for one reason, and that's Fitz gibberish.
All right, here we go, people. Thanks for coming, my friends, first of all, but it's a diatribe, a conspiracy, and it's an island in the middle of some unapologetic and sometimes, usually, when I can't say the word Eli, inaccurate sports talk. You've heard me blast Chicago sports on this show a few times. I was going to put your name in there, Combs, but didn't want to you. The Oakland A's organization makes Chicago sports look innovative. If Chicago teams are the Wile E. Coyote of American sports, the A's organization is Wiley's dropout brother, Riley Coyote, who still sleeps in their mother's basement, huffs permanent markers, watches old live performances of the band Creed, while he gets on his human costume to meet his fleshy girlfriend at a sex party called the Sputum Fest. Last Tuesday, as we already talked about, shortly after we signed off, the Oakland A's played still the leading Tampa Bay Rays in a game that should not have meant much. The A's would win the game, but their fans would, as we talked about, win the war. Here is just one clip from the broadcast when the A's pitcher could not even hear the clicks of the pitch cast in his ear.
Stand in from Tampa Bay. Rays trying to open the scoring, and Hogan can't hear with the pitch count because of the crowd. And now time is called. Things have gotten loud here. This is Certainly a new experience in 2023 at the Coliseum.
A new experience. Because there's a 2/3 of a stadium there.
Well, it happens. Yes, the A's fans planned to have a reverse boycott and attend this particular game, as we talked about, more than 8,000 a person, at a more than 8,000 a person clicked. And it worked beautifully, which hasn't happened on the fields for the A's much this year. They were chanting so loud that Hogan Harris, as you heard, couldn't hear the clicks in his ear. Well, needless to say, the clips went viral of this game. It's the most original promotion for Major League Baseball since the movie Major League, which was never real, actually. What was the plot line of Major League? Oh, yes. The owner trades away all her best players, replaces them with crap, and then hopes for her team to stink so much that she can move them to a better, and I did do air quotes, city and fan base.
Up your butt, Jobu.
Thank you. Clip from Major League Baseball making fun of a fictional religious character. The only thing that owner didn't have was the backing of the commissioner of baseball in the movie Major League. John Fisher, the A's owner, who looks like Jeff Bezos fucked Sloth from Goonies, does have Rob Manfred in his corner. It's a match made in hell. Rob, always happy to join in as the Shooter McGavin of sports commissioners, had this to say about the Oakland fans. Almost an average Major League Baseball crowd in the facility for one night. That's your commissioner of baseball, Shooter McGavin.
The worst.
Former A's starter and White Sox prospect Brandon McCarthy took to Twitter to say, fucking pathetic. How is this not disqualifying? This toad, speaking of Manfred, is the steward of a glorious sport, dripping with history, and he feels entitled to mock fans who are making their voices heard as he sits by and caters to hiding billionaires. Why do we accept this in our culture? Rob Manfred, the same guy who mocked the World Series trophy, the same guy who didn't put baseball highlights on social media until like 5 years after the NBA did, the same guy who blacks out games, the same guy who can't promote the MJ of motherfucking sports. Yeah, I said it, and I live in Chicago. Shohei Ohtani is the MJ of sports right now. American sports, I guess we can put in there. The guy who's first in home runs, first in RBIs, 13th in average. And oh, yeah, he pitches and he's first in strikeouts too, and 22nd in ERA. A while ago, I shared a story about how I fell in love with sports, courtesy of one of the only TVs I had in our house at the time. The average household can have 10 screens easy right now. I'm sure Combs' household with his 100 kids has about 300 screens. Do you think that kids are going to watch this product, Rob Manfred? Do you think that kids are going to want to keep watching this product when you have no idea how to promote it in this day and age? When Jeremiah Murray in Central Indiana can't even watch a goddamn White Sox baseball game because it's blacked out? Do you think people are going to keep watching this? And I'll tell you what I said over a month ago when I did have that Fitz gibberish. They aren't going to watch these teams. Not with the owners that you are backing right now. They're not going to watch these teams. Not with the Jerry Reinsdorfs of the league, where you have half a fan base having banners all over the city asking him to sell the team. No. And that, my friends, is Fitz gibberish. Thoughts, sir?
Rob Manfred's the worst commissioner in all sports.
I'm going to have to start
he's
agreeing.
terrible.
I used to say Betterman, but
he is just he's a clown, plain and simple. And as much as I thrive to work in Major League Baseball, and as much as I would love to earn a living working in this game that I love so much, Rob Manfred is a clown. He's a joke. and he's going to continue to be a joke because he keeps saying stupid shit like this.
Like, is he going to do the same thing to the White Sox? I mean, I don't know. Is he going to throw him under the bus? White Sox fans under the bus then when we get pissed off when a new ownership tries to maybe kill this team and then just move it out? I mean,
he's just he is you know what? He is Jerry Reinsdorf's favorite guy. He's a yes man.
Mm-hmm.
If he left as commissioner, I'm 110% certain that he would be the next manager of the Chicago White Sox. Because Jerry would love to have this guy running his team. Yeah. So like I can't with this guy anymore. I just can't. You know, sometimes you don't want to say stuff. You don't want to say bad stuff about people. I hate saying that, you know, athletes suck, because any athlete that is on a pro roster is closer to being Babe Ruth than we are to being them. And so I don't like it, but this guy should not be in this position. He's a clown. Absolutely. He's an absolute clown.
And I think the most telling with Brandon McCarthy, like pretty decent prospect with the Sox. Sox traded him away. I forgot where they got from him. It was a pretty even trade. He hadn't started a lot and he didn't do great for the A's, was out of the league, came back in the league because he loved the sport so much. He learned a different way to throw the ball, and just a great story. He said hiding billionaires. And that was something I referenced, you know, a couple months ago. We've talked about it before. These billionaires who try to show their balance sheets that they lost money, which I don't believe. I mean, the Sox, I think I can look it up, and Jeremiah disagrees with me. They were about 14th or 15th in attendance last year. Now they're like 25th, maybe even lower at this point. You're making money if you're there. You have 81 home games. I mean, don't tell me you're not. You made it to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Yeah, you didn't get the crowd money in 2020, but you definitely got the TV money.
Right.
You definitely got the TV money in 2021, and they were that crowd was packed for at least half the season in 2021. I know that because I tried to go to a few games and it sucked. But I mean, it's these hiding billionaires. It was very telling. That was a very telling statement. He used those words on purpose. It's just ridiculous. I'm now following Brandon McCarthy. Maybe we can get him on the show.
Aubrey and I went last year to a Sox game it was late May. We sat 9 rows behind home plate for $20 a pop.
It's not bad.
But that's how bad this team has become. That's how much people don't want to go. You should not be able to find a ticket like that close for that price. Not in today's world, anyway.
No,
I mean,
not with a team. But you know, when you can find things on StubHub now when a team gets bad. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, they just been terrible, and it's not like they went from a team in 2020 that you rooted for, that you wanted to root for. A lot of the players you wanted to see do well. Tim Anderson, you wanted to see do well, and to a team where like it's hard to find a player that you can really root for on this team. Maybe Berger, and then you hide him in the A spot. He's the guy you could root for. You know, maybe Dylan Cease, even Giolito in a way, even though he sucked last year. You know, is a good story because he was the worst pitcher in baseball to one of the better pitchers in baseball for a few years, but. Yeah, this is not a team where you got a lot of guys that you want to root for. This kind of reminds me of the 2006, 2007, 2008, maybe Cubs, if you remember those teams who were just assholes. Part of those teams that kicked Steve Stone out of the announcer's booth. I think that was more 2005.
Or like the late 90s, early 2000s Blackhawks, like we were talking about.
Could be. A bunch of guys you don't really like on a team you don't even really want to root for. And
that's, I mean, it's so bad, especially in Oakland. Like team.
I just feel sorry for the fans, you know.
Yeah, and they're going to move to Vegas, and it's the same owner. It's not like a new ownership group is taking this team to Vegas. It's the same damn owner. What's he going to do?
Yeah, and it's like you have no sense of like passion or anything for baseball. If you make that comment, like Manfred said, you have no passion, because this does not happen in any other sport. First of all, no one really cares what the Bulls are drawing. No one
Should
really cares
should
what
an
the
owner
drawing. No one really cares what the fucking name a team in football. Baseball, somehow fans care about who they're drawing, and the owners happen to care because the owners had put it into fans' minds and marketed it out there in fans' minds that, oh yeah, if you don't draw enough fans, maybe we'll have to move, or oh, if you don't draw enough fans, we're not going to buy any players. And it's a bunch of fucking bullshit because these teams make money hands over fist.
Should it be a prerequisite if an owner wants to move a team that they have to sell? You should not be able to take a team that you are running poorly in one place and move them to another place to try to make more money, especially when the fans show that they'll come if you put a product on the field. They'll come if you give them a ballpark that's worth freaking coming to. I found a tweet from 2014, or actually no, 2009 it was, of a player saying how bad the ballpark was. And he said, enough is enough. It's time that we get a new ballpark in Oakland. That was 14 years ago.
And it's just unbelievable the way, I don't know, these teams that are not in better areas in the fan bases, how they're treated. I mean, don't tell me that isn't a dog whistle. I mean,
yeah.
It is. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but Oakland is predominantly black, predominantly poor. It is.
Yeah.
But
it's crime riddled.
Yeah,
kind of like the south side of Chicago.
Instead of trying to be, instead of trying to pull those people up or that community up or do something about it, we'd rather move to Sin City. I mean, where's the honor anymore?
Doubting Thomas says, I'm staying up for the Justin Fields handies. We're going to get to Justin Fields in a minute, but I want to ask you one more thing. Are you worried or are you afraid that if Reinsdorf does sell this team, that they will no longer be on the south side of Chicago?
Yeah. I mean, why that has always been the worry, I think, but now it's even more. I mean, you know how it is in Chicago right now.
It would be an easy move to Nashville.
I mean, I have people I work with who work downtown and like live in like Lincoln Park who are scared of walking home.
Yeah.
When has that ever been a thing? They live right by Fulton Market. They live in Old Town and they're scared of walking. I mean, and that's all north of the city.
What's Nashville? A 5-hour drive? I mean, that's probably the most likely place if somebody is going to move the White Sox. It's probably the next place to get a team is going to be Nashville. With their $40 beers. $40 buckets of beers that they have right now.
It's just the apathy that comes with it, I think. It's like you said, I don't think he doesn't care that they're not winning. I mean, I do think it affects him in some way, Jerry Reinsdorf, but I don't think he'd care if he's 95 and the Sox are somewhere else. I don't think he would care about that. I don't think he cares about the people of the South Side or the people of this town who actually care about this team and grew up on this team and
agreed.
Watch it with their parents or whatever the hell happens, or even all the people that work all around the stadium and all the money that stadium still does bring to people. I mean, we're talking thousands of people. I don't think he cares about any of that. And probably he's pissed that not enough fans come to the games. Oh, I have to deal with this crap.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. So you want to get into the Chicago Bears? Justin Fields, Doubting Thomas says he's staying up for the handies.
Let's reset.
I think he might be surprised. So I don't know if anybody knows who this is, but Pete Prisco, who is a NFL writer, has been for over 30 years. Now also is a writer for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Came out with his top 100 players list. And this is the list that CBS uses every year. His name is Pete Prisco. And let's go through this list real quick a little bit before we get to Justin Fields. So number 1, 2, and 3 are all quarterbacks. You got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. I don't really have a problem there. I really don't.
I flip-flop Joe Burrow with Josh.
I would too. And I would almost put Joe Burrow at 1. Almost. I would think about it. But then you got Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Travis Kelce, Justin Jefferson, Micah Parsons, Aaron Donald, and Trent Williams are all in the top 10. Where it got interesting for me was when I scrolled down this list a little bit further. There are no more quarterbacks until you get to number 22, and that's Justin Herbert. Not a problem there. I like Justin Herbert. I think he's a good quarterback. Following Justin Herbert at number 23 is Trevor Lawrence.
Crazy.
Trevor Lawrence at number 23, which means that he is ahead of guys who are also on this list, like Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
Jalen Hurts, who was in the Super Bowl last year. Jalen Hurts, who you could probably make an argument should be ahead of Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, what the? Well, he's from Jacksonville.
But still, I mean, like if you're trying to make this list, you want to have some sort of credibility. But to have him down and to have him below Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence is insane to me.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I'm okay with Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts if they're ahead of Aaron Rodgers. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I did not have that. Then you have Lamar Jackson at 35 is the next quarterback after them. And then you don't get another quarterback until you get to number 78. And at number 78 is our guy, Justin Fields.
A fucking minute is.
So I want your thoughts before I give you my thoughts. What are your thoughts on Justin Fields being at number 78, which means he's ahead of guys. He's ahead of Dak Prescott. He's ahead of Tua Tagovailoa. He's ahead of Kirk Cousins. And you have him even ahead of Kyler Murray.
No. Just no. I mean, I it's just not right now. I mean, after the season, do I think so? Yes. I think Dak Prescott's had some good games. I think he throws a good ball, sometimes makes decisions quickly. I don't think he's the reason why you win a Super Bowl. Can I be proven wrong? Yeah, but right now he's better. He's better than Justin Fields for right now. I think this.
Talking about Kirk Cousins?
Well, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, no. Who were you talking about? Sorry.
I was talking about Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is better.
Had a rough season last year.
He did. Not against the Bears, but he did have a rough season last year. Yeah, I get that. But I'm not bringing him down below Justin Fields. I mean, we do this all the time in sports with these. If he's predicting that he's going to be better this season, okay, maybe. If he's saying his value is better because he's on a rookie contract, maybe. But if we're just talking about playing football, no way he's ahead of Dak Prescott. And he's not ahead of Kirk Cousins, even though that makes me feel sick inside.
His reasoning under Justin Fields, he gives reasonings for each guy. He says he showed off some amazing talent and a bad offense last season. His ability to run was special, rushing for 1,143 yards. But now with more help around him, passing ability should show big-time growth.
I would think.
Now,
Downey Thomas doesn't count rushing, though. If you rush as a quarterback, none of those yards count. None of those touchdowns count.
Well, that's stupid. Because, I mean, it does count. I mean, it's a big part of why, you look at, I mean, if you're telling me that they win this, the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl without Patrick Mahomes' ability to rush the ball, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
And I am not okay with this, with him being up there yet. And same reasons you said. If you're talking about a prediction, sure. If you're saying, hey, because I'm with you there. I believe he's going to be a top 5 quarterback before it's all said and done within the next, if it's not this year, at least by the end of next year, he will be in the top 5.
Yeah.
He will be talked about as an MVP candidate in the next 2 years. I completely believe all of that. But he is not better than Dak Prescott. He is not better than Kirk Cousins even. I'll give you Tua because of Tua's. I'm not a big Tua guy. I haven't been a Tua guy since before he came out of college. I thought he was going to be a bust straight out of college. I think he's too small. I don't think he can compete in this league. And now with the not only the hip injury that he suffered in college, the Bo Jackson hip injury at that, but I don't know. I'm just not a believer. I think that he's in a good situation right now with the receiving core, but I would take Justin Fields over Tua, and I would probably take him over Kyler Murray. I'm okay with him over Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and Tua, he played against Tua, and they almost beat Miami. And if Justin Fields is on Miami, even I think McDaniels, the coach of Miami, would agree. Miami wins that game by 25 points. I mean, in that Miami game, which was a great game. I am taking stuff away from Tua, I guess, but he's definitely better than those guys. He might even be. I'm not even totally sold on Justin Herbert. How do you lose that game that high up? I don't care what your coach is, what your team is. I don't know how as a quarterback you let yourself lose that game to Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how you put Trevor Lawrence 23. That's ridiculous. But
it's not ridiculous if you have those other guys ahead of him higher than 23, but it's ridiculous when you have him ahead of Aaron Rodgers, you have him ahead of Lamar Jackson, and you have him ahead of other guys that are just, I'm sorry, but look, Trevor Lawrence had a nice second half last year, but you got to remember too, he also set the rookie record for interceptions the year before.
Yeah.
He is not a top 23. And I don't put Justin, you don't keep Dak Prescott out of the top 100. You don't keep Kirk Cousins puts up top 10 quarterback numbers every single year. And do I believe he's ever going to win a Super Bowl? No, I do not. But he puts up top 10 quarterback numbers every single year. And that is something that Justin Fields just hasn't done yet. Do I think he's going to do it? Yes. I listen to all of the detractors, and I've actually heard a lot of detractors this week. Even had a TikTok video sent to me of a guy completely trashing Justin Fields, saying he's a dog shit quarterback, and how he's not. Why is there hype around Justin Fields? He's not going to be good, and blah blah blah. And I think what goes into it, and you even have people here in Chicago on the radio talking about, they're not there yet. They're not going to be a better team than they were last year just yet because they're not ready to be. And I disagree because I don't think people are taking into account that Chase Claypool's going to be better. And the reason why Chase Claypool's going to be better is because he's not going to be your number one receiver, drawing the number one cornerback from the other team.
Contract year.
Darnell Mooney's going to be better because he's going to be your slot guy, not drawing the number one cornerback from the other team. Cole Kmet is going to be better because you're not going to be able to double team him as much as you want to double team a big tight end like that, which means that your offensive line is going to play better because you have more options to throw the ball to, which means your numbers are going to be better because you have more options to throw the ball to. And, oh, by the way, you were still the top running offense in the league last year. So yes, do I believe the Bears are going to be infinitely better? I do. I'm on record. I've said it, and I said it before. The guy on NFL Network said it.
14 wins.
I had the Bears at somewhere at 11 or 12 wins. And I don't think they win any less than 10. I really don't. And I think they're going to be infinitely better. I think they're probably going to compete or maybe even win this division. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender this year. I don't think that they are world beaters. I do believe Justin Fields is going to... He got one MVP vote last year. So yes, I think he's going to get more MVP votes this year. I think he's going to be in the conversation. I think you're going to see good things. However, that's a prediction for the future.
Yeah.
He has done nothing to this point. The things I see make me think that he's going to be good. Nothing that I've seen so far tells me he's a top 100 player in the NFL. Nothing that I've seen so far tells me that he's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Nothing tells me he's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. He has the ability to be, but he is not yet. So to have him, that MVP vote was from Combs, says Doubting Thomas. It was not.
The MVP votes over here.
It was
MVP vote. You freaking strike up the band.
It was not from me, but I do believe that he's going to be better. I just to have him in the top 100 and have him over those guys, those two guys specifically, I think is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a stretch. But like, I mean, I just think some of the detractors from Justin Fields, I mean, and they can get pissed at me if they want, just did not see the 417 games or didn't even watch,
Yes.
some of the end zone, and see his reads that he took from the end zone camera after the games. I mean, I watched a few. Yeah, should I have watched more? Probably. I have a sports talk show for Chicago, but I did see those, and he did make 4 reads pretty quickly in a lot of those games in situations where some guys might have folded. He didn't. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I saw that he could play. He could be a pocket passer.
He made some really bad reads too, like that time where the entire defense went out and he had and he threw the interception against the Detroit Lions. Like that was a really bad look.
Yeah.
But when you're only looking at the 4 bad looks that he had all year, sure, you want to show those on highlights. Sure, you can make a case, but I can also make more of a case by showing more of highlights of him running the ball, of him making good reads, of him making good passes that get dropped by wide receivers. Like I could make a bigger case for him to be better than I can for him to be bad.
There was a lot of drops, and they probably have the 3rd or 4th pick in the draft. If there's like 2 or 3 drops that don't happen, especially the Mooney half drop catch against the Commanders, in the beginning of that season when the offense was really bad. I mean, they went on
missed pass interference call on Chase Claypool.
Yeah,
that cost us a game.
I mean, yeah. Do I think he's 78th right now? No. Do I think after the season he will be at if there's average churn on the offensive side, meaning there's, a couple guys that only play 10, 12 games, but they're moderately healthy. I still think this is one of the top 10 offenses in the league. I don't see how it's not.
So the Bears came out today and said that they're still looking for a defensive end help. I still don't get it. I still don't get why Yannick Ngakoue isn't here yet. Makes the most sense. Familiar with the defense, familiar with the head coach. Makes a ton of sense. Maybe they are going to get him. Maybe they're in talks. But when they asked Eberflus today about it, he said, I know we are actively seeking another defensive end. We are seeking edge rushing help. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Maybe the familiarity is why he hasn't been signed yet. Maybe Fluss knows something. Maybe the Ace Hardware repairman knows something that we don't. I mean, you never know if they're closer to it, or maybe they're trying to shave another couple million off. Poles has done that before. Moving players around, not having David Montgomery.
Jeremiah Murray, if you can't win with Dante Pettis, you can't win with anyone. Unbelievable.
He missed a lot of catches.
And then we had a kick returner in Vilas Jones that couldn't catch the ball on a kickoff.
Punts too.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, that was tough. Missed that punt. I forget in what game. Could have been one of the Detroit games, but yeah, I missed that. Yeah, and he came on a little bit at the end of the year. Maybe he's something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit of a gadget wide receiver. I mean, and you had EQ.
Yeah.
St. Brown missed a lot of big catches, but That was last year. They got the first pick. They traded it away. And really, I mean, there was no reason to panic and say Justin Fields wasn't your guy. They did exactly what I thought they should do. If he's not your guy, you got 2 first-round picks next year. Let's hope, because then you have 2 first-round picks next year. And 2 second-round picks, by the way, too.
Yeah, and you're probably going to have a top 3 pick. I mean, Carolina's not going to be very good. So you're going to have a chance to go out and get another wide receiver too at that, because you're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be available. So,
and one of those second round picks could be a guy in the middle of the season. Maybe that's what you wait for. You just put a Band-Aid on the defensive end. Now you get a pretty decent defensive end for a second round pick, and maybe just a third round pick.
Yeah.
Or you get a close to a stud for a second round pick.
Right. So I don't, as I'm watching this, I'm a little distracted. They're play at the plate in the Cubs game that they're reviewing right now, but Cubs are up 3-0 in the top of the 8th.
Cubby.
Oh, you're just upset because I'm watching a baseball team in Chicago win.
Sox up 2-1.
So we talked about the Bears. Let's talk a little bit about the Blackhawks before we get to the news of the world and get out of here. But the Blackhawks have the most cap space in the NHL this year, much like the Bears did. And it's $37 million, which when you say that number, it's like, wow, that's really tiny. In hockey dollars, that's like probably $200 million in cap space in baseball. It's a ton of money in hockey. Going to get Connor Bedard with the number 1 overall pick. Have some room to move. A lot of guys, I'm hearing a lot of chatter about a lot of guys that are on teams that needed salary dump that the Blackhawks are favorited to get. What would you think about the Blackhawks being a contender next year? You think it's out of the realm of possibility, or you think it's a definitely going to happen? Because I think it's definitely going to happen.
You think it's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah, they got too much money. They're going to get Connor Bedard. I think they're going to
plays. He starts.
Yeah, and I believe that they're going to spend some of that money to bring Patrick Kane in to mentor him on how to be a young player in the NHL. Hopefully, he doesn't teach him how to punch cab drivers.
Yeah, I thought you said de-mentor.
Yeah. I would. I think that they get Patrick Kane back. They sign him to a deal for 2, maybe 3 years till he's ready to retire. And you get Connor Bedard, and you get a couple of these guys. I think they're going to be back to a team that is going to fill the stadium, and the stadium is going to be rocking again, and they're going to be in the playoffs again. I think they're going to be one of those worst to first type teams.
No, I just think hockey is a sport kind of, and a little bit akin to baseball, where it just takes so fucking long. I just think it's going to be at least 3 years, 2 years, maybe if they get lucky, get a couple more of these picks like really hit. And maybe you get a guy who's a little bit older, like Sharpie was back in the day when Sharp played really well for the Hawks. And somehow you got a gift in Hossa, who was ridiculous. Maybe it comes together like that. And that doesn't always happen. I just think there's just a longer runway in hockey, at least from what I've seen with teams and growing teams.
Well, you look like the Seattle Kraken. I mean, look at the Seattle Kraken. They were an expansion team in the playoffs, one of the best teams in the league this year. You look at teams like the Florida Panthers, who were the 8th seed, who went to the Stanley Cup Finals.
What do these expansion teams get in hockey? Yeah, except for pie in the high, pie in the sky stuff. I just don't see it happening. I mean, and what are these expansion teams getting in hockey? You got Las Vegas.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But these are expansion teams that are good. The Vegas Knights have gone to the Stanley Cup Finals twice in their first 6 years. They won one.
Clamoring for hockey to expand, but anyway, who's clamoring for a team in Las Vegas? But I mean, what are they getting that they're also good? Yeah, hockey, it can be a bit of a crapshoot, kind of like baseball is, to where if you get in, anything can happen. The ball bounces weird, the puck bounces weird, but if that's what you're wishing for, I don't know if you can point to those examples and say, yeah, that's the blueprint for a winner.
So you agree with Jeremiah Murray, who says that's some mighty fine Kool-Aid you've got there, Combs?
Yes. Yeah.
I do. I'm really, so I don't know how deep you are into hockey, how big of a fan you are. I don't know how big of a fan you are, Jeremiah. But I've read a lot of things. I've read, there's a couple of Oiler forwards that are out there. The Oilers are looking to dump some salary cap because they are in salary cap hell right now. You look at guy, like I said, the Rangers have already said they're not bringing back Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane is now a free agent. You can go get Patrick Kane back. You can really build this team really quick, and you already had some good pieces on this team. This is a team that, if you remember, was accidentally winning games last year. They were trying to lose, and in the last game of the season, when they were trying to secure the most fun, they won a game convincingly at that. And that game was against the Seattle Kraken. They are winning games against good teams. They had already a little bit of hope, a little bit of pieces to build around. Then you get Connor Bedard, who swept all the awards in Canada this year.
Right away as he comes into the NHL.
Why not? Patrick Kane did it right away. Jonathan Taves did it right away.
Good. They were very good when they started.
Connor Bedard has talked about it being the next Sidney Crosby.
I'm still a no.
Okay.
I'm still a no.
We're gonna see.
I'll try to see what you see, but
I also thought the White Sox were gonna win 95 games. So what the hell do I know? Well, you want to get into the news before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to go first? I'll go first. I got two stories. All right. So the first story here comes out of New England. New England Patriots player was arrested Friday after police alleged he attempted to bring two guns onto a flight out of Boston Logan International Airport. Jackie K. Jones, known as Jack Jones, they took him into custody. The weapons were allegedly found in his carry-on luggage.
Boy, do I even want to do this?
You do, because guess what? He has pled not guilty. And these loaded guns that were found in his luggage, as I'm trying to pull up the story here because I lost it. They pull the loaded weapons out of his luggage.
Yeah.
And he pleads not guilty. And when he pleads not guilty, his lawyer says this. He had no intention of bringing any guns into Logan Airport that day. He had no intention of bringing any guns onto an airplane that day. I expect the evidence is going to show that he had no knowledge of what was going on in his carry-on luggage. It's the social media and the media who have turned him into a thug, have labeled him a thug with no evidence whatsoever. Because he's a young black man, all of a sudden he's a thug. That's what happened here. It's disrespectful to Mr. Jones and every other black man in America. This is the institutional racism we deal with every day in the court system. That label was attached to him through social media and almost got him fired, and it was completely unfounded.
Crazy.
What the?
It was in his carry-on luggage. How many times? Look. Okay, because it's gonna get me going because of how they went about that and how all of a sudden this is going to turn into a story that is about race. How many times have you gone onto a flight? You just got back from South Carolina. You took a plane there, correct?
Yep.
Did you know that heading into the airport you were going to have to go through security?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that it would be illegal and that you would probably be arrested had you put any weapons in your carry-on luggage.
Does this include dildos? No,
Yes.
obviously I didn't. I mean, this is just insane. The entitlement in this country, though. I mean, not even race. I mean, no one's responsible for anything they do anymore.
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, well, he had no knowledge of what was going on that day. It's his carry-on luggage. It's not like it's a suitcase that was underneath the plane and maybe somebody put it in. His carry-on bag that he keeps with him and is carrying through on his back.
Where was this lawyer when Tim Anderson got outed on Twitter? The entire White Sox season could have gone differently.
I believe this is the guy that was on O.J. Simpson's case. Might be the same guy. Well, one of the same guys. I know one of them's dead. But I don't understand why in today's world we want to make everything's got to be, you got to play a card. And I said this last week. I said, look, we're getting into election year. The races are going to be run, and now all of a sudden we're going to find this again. You don't forget that you have a gun in your carry-on luggage, loaded at that, and then get to say, I had no idea.
I didn't know.
And then get to say that we're labeling you because you're black. No, we're labeling you because you were stupid enough to bring guns loaded in your carry-on luggage.
I didn't know my penis could get her pregnant.
Yes. Yes. I don't get it.
Has to say something. I mean, what else are you going to say? Why be not guilty? I mean, probably get a lower sentence.
Shanna, welcome to the show, Shanna. She says people forget to leave their guns at home before they go to an airport in Tennessee.
Hey, I don't know what the culture is like there. They wouldn't let Blackhawks fans in games down there. I mean,
that's true. It's true. We're going to get to find out whether or not they let Chicago fans into White Sox games when they moved there, too.
Unbelievable.
All right. Your turn. What's your story?
All right. Have you heard of this continuing story of the missing Titanic submarine? Have you heard of this?
I heard bits and pieces of it, and I've got a lot of questions.
What the fuck? I have all the questions. What the hell is going on in this country? There's a submersible.
Yep.
Vehicle that has vanished. It was it was a bunch of rich people going down to see Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Not the 3.5 hour sleeper
on a homemade craft, by the way.
Yeah, it's basically a homemade craft. And we're not talking about the movie.
I believe it had a Punisher logo on one of the windows.
Are you serious?
No, I'm messing.
Well, I could believe that. They have not been found. This submersible vehicle has it has a couple windows, but it has no doors on it. They seal it up before they put it down there.
No, nobody's turned on their iPhone since they went down. Take pictures.
I mean, well, it's with they can't really, once you're down that far, I guess you can't get GPS. You can't do a lot of things once you're that far.
Yeah, you're going to the ocean floor.
It had 96 hours of oxygen. I'd want more oxygen. That's all I'm saying. And it's in a remote area, and it's a challenge to conduct a search of that remote area. And there's rich people going into this thing. Like, where is there's still a fascination with the Titanic? Do you know we have cruise liners that are 10 times the size right now? What is the fascination? I don't get it. I could see if you were going down to see like a rare squid or, the last living like octopus of this, and it changes colors, which a lot of octopus do anyway. But I could see if you were going down there to see that, but you're going down there to see the Titanic? Like, what is wrong with this fucking country? What kind of dripping nostalgia do we have that we have to go down to see
rich people, man? Rich fucking white people. This is a rich white people thing. Now look, if we ever make it on this show, which I believe that at some point we will be heard all around the city. I really believe that. I think we've got something good here, and we make a bunch of money. And I say, hey, Ryan, come by the house. We're going to, we're going to throw some steaks on the grill. We're going to talk. And you come over to my house, and I pop open a beer, and I'm like, hey, Ryan, I made this submarine. Do you want to go for a ride? You want to go see Titanic?
Your butt.
You're gonna say no, right?
Hell no.
I mean, have you not watched what happens to freaking like in these movies? Like you know why you can't find them? Because they got eaten by a Meg. There's a Meg down at the ocean floor that ate this thing.
A megalodon? Yeah. I mean, there's no GPS. There was a CBS correspondent.
Maybe it's not a rich white person thing.
He says it's an experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body. What else did he say? This Pogue, this reporter from CBS. I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of the sub seemed improvised. Pogue said, showing viewers what he described as a small sort of toilet. And then OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush showed Pogue a video game controller. And
what?
And said it was used to run the whole thing.
Shanna says the rich person I'm missing is from Pakistan, so I stand corrected. It's not a rich white person thing. It's a rich Pakistani thing.
There's rich people all over the world.
Jeremiah wants to know if there's a child molestation island down there. Jeremiah says, can we go watch the Hawks win the cup in Combs' handmade vessel? How
long it's going to be till they win?
I would not have gone. For one. For two, you made this thing. How did you not put a tracker on it? Like, how is there not a beacon? I mean, like something that flashes or beeps or something when you're, I mean, like, this wasn't a naval ship. This wasn't a you're not from like, I'm trying to think like the Coast Guard. You're like, you were just a rich person who like threw some plexiglass on some steel, riveted it up and said, hey, let's go down there. Shanna says it's probably a circle jerk down there.
What else are you going to do? I hate to get back on the subject. What else are you going to do? You got 40 hours left. They had 40 hours left. I think it was this morning to live.
They have no hours left.
They don't want to take up too much air, though.
They went down. The thing collapsed. They all drowned. The guy made it in his backyard.
He's got
a PlayStation 5 remote was controlling the thing. You know how many times I die using my PlayStation remote when I play games? All the time. And that's fake. These guys did it in real life.
This is like
they're dead.
Of us.
They're dead. I mean, look, I hate to say it, and I'm sorry that people lost their lives, but they were stupid. Yeah. I don't know how many people went down there. I don't know how many people.
There's 36 hours left.
How many people were in this ship?
5
idiots got drunk.
One's a son. One's a father and a son.
They ate some caviar, got drunk.
Yeah, I mean,
and decided, hey, you know what? We've got a lot of money. Let's go down and see what's at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe we can find the Titanic. And instead, you found a megalodon that swallowed you whole, and we're all wondering where you're at.
They said that there was things where they could like push something. Well, I guess.
Did they send a search team down? How did they know that these people went?
If they're not on the continental shelf, there's 5. Shanna says if they're not on the continental shelf and they go way down, like there's only a certain amount of vehicles on the planet that can go down there. And obviously they don't. It doesn't sound like they have many contingency plans, but there is a way where they could like put a buoy out into the water or something like that and come up if they did go down. But if they go farther enough down, that's it. You're done. Like there's nobody that a diver couldn't get down there, and
the pressure too.
Where's James Cameron?
Like I don't. God. How did they know that these people went? That's the other thing. Were there other people at the party that were like putting these guys on a send off? They're like, yeah, guys, go. Like, was it like a whole bunch of rich people? Like, you know how we go to a party and somebody starts drinking, we start chanting chug? Were they like, go? Like,
This is just honestly, this is just to put on social media for these people and to say they did it. Hey, tell the story. I saw the Titanic.
All right. Well, yeah, those people are dumb
anymore. This
They're
country,
dumb.
I don't know. Sometimes.
Well, speaking of this country, have you heard any more of the Zion Williamson stuff yet?
No, I have not. I'm waiting.
So,
breath.
Last night, Zion Williamson's porn star mistress went on a tangent and ended up getting her Twitter account deleted and suspended.
Oh boy, that still happens?
Yeah. So here's what happened. The ex-porn star, Mariah Mills, her account has been deactivated after sending out tweets where she claims, while threatening to sue Zion Williamson for damages he has caused to her life, says, the NBA, I have sex tapes of me and Zion Williamson, and he also has them on his trap phone at NBA, at Pelicans NBA. Trade him now. He doesn't deserve to be in New Orleans. So apparently she believes that she controls the NBA trade portal now. Sex tapes dropping soon, she wrote. Zion can't win a case against me. I have physical proof that he sent people to threaten me, and he knows this as well. At Zion Williamson, I'm taking you to court for all the damages you have caused in my life. I don't love anyone. I genuinely loved you, at Zion Williamson. All you care about is saving face to the media. You don't care about feelings, she wrote in a separate tweet. Started off as a sneaky link, but we fell in love, at Zion Williamson. I always said a baby is a deal breaker for me. Haven't slept in days, emotionally distressed. You hurt me big time, not even going to front. Eventually, we became more until this mysterious pregnancy. I'm fucked up bad about this, bae. ONG. I can't do this. I kept quiet for a year, Zion. Everyone was wondering, why was I always in New Orleans and knew I wasn't with anyone regular? A guy friend of mine told me you was showing girls you fly out the tapes we have together on your trap phone, and I told him I didn't know you, and that's a lie. Now I know he wasn't lying since this fiasco. I'm hurt. Why are you showing other bitches we fuck? You're a pig.
As soon as I put this hot poker in my ass, I'm going to chop my dick off.
My favorite comedian, by the way.
He would have been better doing that, I think.
First of all, she said, I have proof, and he's even got the tapes on his trap phone. Ooh. You know what a trap phone is? By the way, I know you're old.
Cricket?
No. A trap phone is a phone that you give to your side piece.
Yeah, like
with
a
cricket. Separate number.
That's what I meant. Yeah, like a cricket.
Yeah.
Phone. Yeah. Yep.
And
you're not paying a lot for it.
Yep.
It's not really a number that people can find who has it. Doesn't it? They I don't even think they let you find out what cell towers it's hitting.
Doubting Thomas says, I got those same texts from a Mount Greenwood girl once upon a time.
Unbelievable.
Jeremiah Murray says, will he be eating pie during sex? How does this girl think, for one, she demands that the Pelicans trade him? Like, it's not going to happen, especially now with all this stuff surrounding him. Nobody's going to touch him right now. He can't stay healthy, and he's going to be a media nightmare. It's not a good case for him to be traded. So, is Zion Williamson going to get out of this?
No.
Like, this is going to be bad.
Give Tim Anderson a call and get a sense of warning. Like, don't let it ruin your career. Just another situation that's just, I mean, Jesus Christ, did any of these guys watch The news?
As he shows a photo of Tiger Woods.
His mugshot, by the way, when he was on Vicodin and Xanax and whatever the hell else. And he crashed that car.
God. It was so bad. It was so bad. And I don't know where Zion's gonna go. I don't know what he's going to do. But that was a hell of a rant. And I mean, she kind of aired it all out. And I know Zion's got a woman who's pregnant on the, whatever, it's his girlfriend, fiance, whatever the case is. And this porn star now has sex tapes that she's about to leak, and your life is pretty much over, and you can't stay healthy enough to do your job well and all this stuff. So, but anyway, guys, this has been Windy City Sports Talk. If you missed any part of today's live broadcast, you can now catch us on all podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, Spotify, and Pandora. We're also available on iHeartRadio. As always, make sure to click the like button, share, and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. Go ahead and rate us if they allow you to rate us. Let us know what you're thinking. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, if you have any feedback for us, or anything you want us to talk about, you can reach us at Combs and Fitz. All one word spelled out, Combs and Fitz @gmail.com. Fitzy, you ready to get out of here?
Hell yeah. I love email.
Have a good night, guys.
All right.